let's settle this. Let's settle this. This video is from this guy. I've watched a video from his channel before. I actually love that channel. I think I'll be checking out a lot of videos from that channel. The guy says a lot of things that I have in my head, but I just can't put it in a video. You know, I'm still learning this whole video editing, video everything. So I just can't put it into words. But he does all that. So I'm going to be reacting to this video. LeBron James and his vastly overrated final runs exposed. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into this. This should be lovely.
LeBron James, the media darling, of which various writers and on-air personalities have largely been pining over and pleasuring themselves to for the better part of 2 decades, is still going
Pleasuring themselves. That is true. These people, the way they talk about this man, it's like these people that are so-called journalists, people that are supposed to be objective. No, I'm not saying LeBron James is not great. He's great. He is great. I'm not going to sit down here and act like he's some scrub. Obviously, he's not a scrub. But the way they talk about, and some people take it as some kind of insult, that people don't see him as the greatest player of all time. When there's a guy named Michael Jeffrey Jordan, really? People see it as, how? I mean, some of these people are ridiculous.
Wrong, nearing the age of 40, and so too are the various contrived narratives being pumped on major media outlets and social media platforms to support his fabricated GOAT case.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
One of the most famous, well-known, and regurgitated of all of these narratives is the LeBron carried teams to 8 consecutive finals fairy tale.
Finally!
An
Thank you!
argument used to somehow diffuse the fact he has actually only won 4 championships in 20 years and counting. As if going to 8 straight finals is some trump card to going 6 for 6 in the finals in an 8-year span. As pathetic and nonsensical as that entire chain of reasoning is, it gets even more laughable when you delve into the specific final runs, as LeBron James resided in one of the worst conferences in NBA history. But just how bad was the Eastern Conference LeBron feasted on for the vast majority of his career?
It's garbage!
LeBron James entered the NBA at the age of 19 in the 2003-2004 season and was lucky enough to be drafted into a conference on the decline. In all, James played 15 seasons in the Eastern Conference and made 9 of his 10 career finals appearances over those 15 years, and yes, that included famously 8 straight. From his first year in 2003 and running those 15 years to 2018, the Western Conference won the season series against the East 14 times out of 15, with the lone exception coming in the 2008-2009 season, a season where predictably LeBron did not make it to the NBA Finals. Overall, in LeBron's 15 years in the Eastern Conference, the West had a total record of 3,695 and 2,845 head-to-head against the JV Conference, good for a winning percentage of just 43% for the East over LeBron's 15-year tenure in that conference. And it is no wonder the West was dominating the vastly inferior Eastern Conference during LeBron's 15-year run there. It was because all of the best players were in the Western Conference during this span of time. Of the 225 All-NBA first, second, and third team members selected from 2003 through 2018, 147 of them played in the Western Conference. Meaning only 34% of the All-NBA team players selected during that span came from little LeBron's pitiful little conference.
Listen, conference. According to Skip Bayless, I know people just call him a LeBron hater, but obviously he pushes it a bit too far. However, he's right. It was a Listen conference. Listen conference, not Eastern. Listen conference, where LeBron James was just out there feasting on those people on stacked teams. Played on stacked teams.
all supposed to be dazzled by LeBron's alleged dominance of this conference, with the first run coming in the 2007 season, a season we hear about over and over and over again, when LeBron single-handedly carried a team to the finals. But James got all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals that season without even beating a team that had a winning record, as the Wizards and Nets, the Cavaliers' first and second round opponents, were both just 41-41 that season. Once in the East Finals, the 50.
And if I remember correctly, was it not that during that period that I think Arenas was having issues? I think was not that, okay, that was not the period that he had the gun issue. But if I remember correctly, he didn't play. He didn't play. And Arenas was the best player for the Wizards during that period, during that season. By far the best player. And he didn't play. So he barely played nobody and got to the final and got swept by the Spurs. I mean, what other example do you want? So he was able to, according to his lovers, wheel the team, carry the team to the finals. Then why was he swept? Like, he couldn't even get one game. Not even one game. Even Iverson was able to get one game against Shaq and Kobe. Even Iverson was able to do that. LeBron James couldn't even get one game. That shows you the level of opponents in which he played against. That's if there's no other example bigger than that, I don't know what is.
Second round opponents were both just 41-41 that season. Once in the East Finals, the 50-win Cleveland Cavaliers got an evenly matched 53-win Detroit Pistons team that no longer had Ben Wallace, their defensive anchor, nor did they have a single player that averaged over 20 points per game in that season. LeBron then took the next 3 seasons off from making finals appearances, despite having the best record in the league in 2 of those years and winning league MVP. But some other guy took home the trophies that really mattered those seasons. LeBron, though, being fed up with losing, decided to take his talents to South Beach.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
In so doing, he teamed with other first-team All-NBA team member at the time, Dwayne Wade. And in LeBron's final year in his first stint with Cleveland, the 2009-2010 season, 10 of the 15 All-NBA players selected that season were in the West. Players like Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, and Steve Nash. The top 2 players in the East at that time were first-team All-NBA members Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. James teamed up with other best player by far in the much weaker conference. What?
Not even that. Like, they couldn't even, like, this guy sat down there in that party that they had after he signed with the Miami Heat. Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not all that nonsense that he said. And they couldn't even win more than 2. Only 2 with such a stacked. This guy stacked the deck and was only able to win 2 titles. 2 titles. The first season, he basically had one of the worst performances by a superstar ever in the finals. Ever. People just brush over that one. Oh, mental health. His head was not right. What nonsense.
Did anyone think was going to happen? Of course the Heat were going to run to 4 straight finals in their 4 seasons together. Is this really supposed to be viewed as an accomplishment to be celebrated? LeBron James himself called his shot that team would win 8 championships.
Not 5, not 6. Not 7.
Yet they only won 2. How can this be viewed in any other light but a categorical failure? Over the 4 years finals runs for those Miami Heat teams, LeBron faced 4 total 50-win teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs, and that is counting the 42-24 Pacers in 2012. Since it was a strike-shortened season, but the win percentage of 64% would have netted them 50 wins wins in a full 82-game year. So, the best two players in the conference, with a perennial all-star in Chris Bosh and a plethora of other elite role players, faced only 4 50-win teams out of 12 opponents to make it to those 4 finals, with the second best team in the conference during that time being the Paul George and Lance Stevenson led.
A young Paul George, a Paul George that was still ascending in his career, and Lance Stevenson, in which LeBron James fans try to ask like LeBron beats him. Like, are you comparing LeBron James to Lance Stevenson? That is the guy that you beat, and you're proud of that. Embarrassing.
Indiana Pacers. Alas, when LeBron had to play an actual viable opponent from the Western Conference, he got dusted off the court 2 times out of 4. Thus, it was on to Super Team number 2, pairing Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, who were both coming off of 2 All-Star selections each in the previous 3 years, while Kevin Love had 2 All-NBA second teams to his resume in the previous 2 seasons. Over this span of time, with Super Team number 2, LeBron would face 7 total 50-win teams of his 12 opponents to get to 4 more NBA Finals, bringing his total to 8 consecutive. The stiffest opponent LeBron had over this span of time was the DeMar DeRozan-led Toronto Raptors. So over the 9 years LeBron James made it to the Finals from the Eastern Conference, he faced 27 opponents in those Eastern Conference playoffs, of which 12 of those teams won at least 50 games on the season, 44% of his opponents, with the next best players in the conference over that time being the likes of Paul George and DeMar DeRozan.
Crazy.
For context, Kobe Bryant made 7 NBA Finals from the years of 1999 to 2010 from the Western Conference. Of the 21 opponents he faced in his Western Conference playoffs during that span, 17 of those teams won at least 50 games, 81% of his opposition, with the next best players in the conference over that time being the likes of Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, and Kevin Durant. I ask you, who had the more impressive feat here?
Even Steve Nash. You can even mention Steve Nash. You can mention Kevin Garnett. I know he didn't really play. Okay, I'm not sure the Lakers played against Kevin Garnett, but he was part of the conference. I mean, oh God, this is ridiculous. I mean, this guy and his media cronies have been able to create this narrative. And the media is very powerful, to be honest. To be fair, the media is very powerful. The media can shape anything that they want to shape anytime. At any time, they can do that. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Detractors of this LeBron mythos pertaining to the 8 straight finals appearances have made the counterpoint that he would never have been able to do it from the West. Well, after being blown off the court and swept for the second time in his finals career in the 2017-2018 season, LeBron decided to try his hand in that Western Conference. And in now 5 years out West, LeBron has missed the playoffs altogether in 2 years, lost in the first round in another season, got swept most recently in the West Finals, and yes, won an exhibition tournament disguised as an NBA title in the bizarre COVID-shortened season that culminated in a surreal tournament in the Disney bubble, where Anthony Davis led the entire NBA playoffs in both scoring and win share for the champion Lakers. Many liars in the mass media and teenagers who don't understand the actual history of the NBA like to paint LeBron James as having played some kind of super competition throughout his career. But when you break down the conference in which he came from and the totality of his championship runs, LeBron's actual playoff accomplishments are amongst the worst of any all-time great. And he did it in markedly more time in most cases than any other player he is being compared to. But as is most frequently the case, the myth, lore, and legend built up around LeBron James always exceeds the actual reality.
Man, this guy just says everything that I would like to say, but I just can't put it in words. Incredible video. Need I say more? I don't need to say more. I don't need to say more. This guy had just been going around the whole place stacking teams, and nobody really cares. And he actually stacks teams the way he wants them to be stacked. If it doesn't go right, he pouts like a little girl. He does all these passive aggressive things that he likes doing, where he's actually not happy about something. Instead of him to come out and say it, he will be putting up all these cryptic tweets like some coward. Say what you want. If you feel that your front office is not doing right with you, you say it. Instead of coming out here and be posting cryptic tweets and doing all this passive aggressive nonsense. What the hell? And this guy will be out here claiming like he's some goat, he's some this, he's some this. Ridiculous. Sometimes I just wish Kobe played in this era where stats are taken so seriously. Everything, like, it's almost like this new rule that has been created in the NBA in terms of load management. This thing could easily be solved by players. Do you know what they could do? Play 1 minute, 2 minutes. Show up, play 1 minute, 2 minutes, and go. But they won't do that. They will not do that because it will affect their stats. It would affect their stats. Those stats per game, very, very important. Rebounds, all those stats per game, very important for them. They cannot make any mistake and alter that stats. I remember so many games, even as I started watching NBA very, very late, Kobe played games injured. He played matches injured. Because he said, look, people work very, very hard in all these small jobs, these jobs that don't even pay anything. They gather enough money to be able to come and pay for a ticket, and I don't show up for the fans. That is bad. And to be fair, LeBron James has actually showed up. Let me just to be clear about that. But even then, he shows up because he's a cyborg. He doesn't get injured whatsoever. Anytime he's a bit injured, he actually does sit out. Kobe played with a lot of injuries, finger injuries, leg injuries, all sorts of injuries. I just wish he thought twice about those. Maybe he wouldn't have played some of these games that he was not fully fit. Because these players of today, they will look at their stats per game, and if they don't play at full strength, those stats per game could come down a bit. They may not be able to play 100% the way they're supposed to play. So those stats per game will come down. Sometimes Kobe play games, where during the game he will go and rest. If the game is out of hand, he'll go and rest. I mean, against the Mavericks, Kobe was on course to actually break that 81 points game, but he sat out the fourth quarter at 63 points. Imagine if it was players of today. They would have played. They would have played to try and pad those stats to get themselves to where they're supposed to go to. I really wish Kobe played in this era, seriously. Every time I just watch players of today, very few of them actually really impress me, to be honest with you. Very few of them impress me. Most of these players are just players benefiting from this Swiss cheese basketball era where players aren't even allowed to defend. They're not even allowed to defend whatsoever. Ridiculous. Anyway, what do you guys think about the video? I think I'll be watching more videos from this channel. I love this channel. He says everything. I've looked at most of the titles of his channel, and I love all those titles. And I'll be checking out some of his videos soon. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.